Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is the June 8th meeting of the Revere Zoning, City Council of Revere Zoning Subcommittee. We have a single matter before the subcommittee this evening entitled C-15-01, a petition by Flight Car 620 Davis Street, San Francisco, California, seeking permission from the Revere City Council to open a rental car service at 85 American Legion Highway in Revere, which is located within the TED district. The operation of a rental car service is allowed only by special permit within the TED district. If I could have the applicant come before the subcommittee, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, on behalf of the applicant, Flight Car. As we told the full City Council at the public hearing, this is a concept that was actually devised in Cambridge and then moved west, where Flight Car opened an office in San Francisco. And what it's really not is a car rental agency as we would normally know, Hertz, Avis, Thrifty, Budget, like that. What it is a car sharing concept. And it's run in cooperation with, and there's an office actually in the Comfort Inn in Revere. So it's also under the auspices and under the supervision of the folks at the Comfort Inn. And as the councilors may remember, how this works is that if someone were to fly into Massachusetts and or drive to even to the Comfort Inn, leave their car there, someone else would fly in. They would have already made arrangements to share for a cost that car that was left at the hotel. Likewise, if someone's at the hotel and doesn't need their car, they can opt to put it out for rent or sharing to someone who is a guest at the hotel and does need it, maybe would be driving off for business or so forth. So what the impact is absolutely zero, because the car would be there as the registered guest would be at the hotel anyway. And in this case, if the car drives away, that's one less car that's up at Bell Circle and around the Comfort Inn. So Ben is here. Gray Johnson couldn't make it. He was here to answer a couple of questions on the night of the public hearing. Ben is here today, however. Scott Hops from Comfort Inn is here to answer questions. And with regard to any of the zoning information that may be required, I'd be happy to do so. This was sort of a toss-up, on the fence kind of a determination when we went to the Site Plan Review Committee as to whether or not we needed a license at all, since it's not your typical car rental agency. But Frank Stringy and I had kind of talked about that, and erring on the side of caution and making perhaps a more streamlined and maybe even a revenue-generating operation for the city, because we've been told that if we're a car rental agency and operating under that license, we need to pay the fee to the City of Revere on each one of the days or the rentals. So we opted to not disagree with Frank and the Site Plan Review Committee, and we're here for the special permit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cipolletta. Is there anybody else like to speak on this matter before the City Council subcommittee this evening? If not, I would ask the subcommittee members first, and then, well, it doesn't really matter, I guess, what order we take it, and we'll start down the end. Councilor Zambuto, if you have any questions of the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Obviously, I had a lot to do with bringing these people to the table here, and I just want everybody to know that this is the first time Flight Car is actually going to have what we call a rental car license anywhere, I think, in the country. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, Revere is setting precedent here. But more importantly, and the question is to the attorney and the principal, you're going to conform with the rules of rental cars, which means in Revere, you'll pay a $10 service surcharge per agreement. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Good, good. And obviously, that's the purpose of doing this, but I think it's also a great thing that you've chosen Revere to come and license your innovative, I have to say, innovative ride-sharing situation. It's quite an accomplishment, and we're happy to have you here in Revere and at one of our favorite hotels, the Comfort Inn, owned by the Saunders Group, who's one of our favorite developers. So only because they've been so good to the city of Revere, and that's why we support them so much. So I'm certainly in favor of this, Mr. Chairman, and I hope we can get this voted on tonight and get them operating legally over there tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambudo. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certainly am going to be supporting this evening. I don't know who will remember, it was Councilor Colella and myself that first worked to get that surcharge in place, and I understand there's been several $1 million gone toward the public safety facility. And I'm just wondering, how many rentals would you anticipate? I mean, from any surveys that you may have done?
That we are planning on renting?
Yeah, right.
I suppose it depends on the month. I mean, this month has been pretty busy, I would say, through the week. Give or take maybe 40 or 50 rentals at this time. Will grow substantially now that we've partnershiped with Kayak, which is a third party, as you may know. I feel like it will grow a little bit more than what we've seen in the past. So
That's interesting because, again, that $10 surcharge, that money will be directed, I would hope, to the down payment of the bonds for the public safety facility. And I would think that this would bring in many, many thousands of dollars to the city of Revere. And for that reason, I will be supporting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Any other councilors on this side of the room? Councilor Novoselsky? I'm sorry. Councilor Patch, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to be voting in favor of this tonight. I like the idea that you put forth before us, and also that we're going to get more revenue into the city, and I want to wish you good luck. Thank you.
thank you so much.
If it gets through. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor Patch. Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I think this is a great concept. I've looked into it, and when I first heard about it, I was concerned about the number of parking spaces that the Comfort Inn has within themselves, and then on their park and fly packages that they have. So I was kind of concerned that, but when they picked up the old gas station, they picked up like 20 spaces up there. And they only are asking for 10 spaces for this program. And that kind of eased my mind on the zoning issue and parking. So I think it's a great idea. I plan on voting for it, and I wish you good luck. Hopefully it passes.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor Novoselsky. Let's start down with Councilor Jessica Janino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also will be supporting this motion tonight. I think it's a great idea. I think it's very innovative, and it's great to bring new ideas and new businesses like this into our community. So we're excited to have you, and are looking forward to working with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Haas?
I just want to ask one question about, you're going to register cars in Revere?
As far as registration for
Registration of the vehicle?
it depends if the car would be from Massachusetts. I get cars from different states. It's not necessarily just Massachusetts. So I get cars from New Hampshire, Connecticut, Rhode Island,
Okay.
Greater New England area.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a few minutes here. For the edification of both Councilor Haas and myself, who were not here at the public hearing, although we've reviewed the documents, perhaps you could give us just a few moments of review of the business plan, I'd certainly like to hear how it's, the operation is supposed to go, and maybe for anybody else out there who has not heard it already, it would be helpful. Thank you.
Sure. So basically, people leave me their cars as they travel out of town. Sometimes I have cars for days, weeks, months. I even have cars up to a year. The reason why we ask so little parking space is because we rent the cars. They're out on the road. While we have these cars, we maintain these vehicles for the owner while they're away. Sometimes we have people's cars that live in the area that just simply can't afford to have their automobile. Maybe a college student realizes very quickly that the car is unaffordable while they attend school, so we'll give them a little bit of the revenue, and in turn we'll rent out their car so they can, keep their car. And if they want to use their car, they're more than welcome to at any time. They can come and pick up their own vehicle and use it at their leisure. It's pretty much the basis. We get the renters come in and rent from us typically because we don't have all the taxes and fees that some of the standard rental car companies do in Boston, Logan. So we pretty much undercut the competition in that aspect.
So it's kind of like an Uber without the driver.
Yeah, it is the Uber without the driver. You are the driver.
One other point I should bring forward is, and I mean, you may have addressed this with the city already. Our city planner, Frank Stringy, has suggested that there is an issue about the 10 parking spaces that are going to be used that are now committed to the hotel and restaurant, and he wanted to be certain, and you should be certain too, because there's no point in issuing a permit without when it would automatically become in violation of any other parking regulations, as to the number of parking spaces that the hotel and restaurant require per their for their permitting. Have you checked into that at all?
We have, and I think even with this new venture, the restaurant and hotel still exceed. And one of the things that's really good about this is that the cars don't just sit there. I mean, it's encompassed within the total number of parking spaces, but the cars that are left actually go off the lot, and that space stays vacant. So there may be a time when they sort of circulate through, but there is a place that's dedicated by the hotel to flight car, and that has a little placard there, and those are just for those particular vehicles. So we did have that discussion with Frank. We counted up the spaces. With the acquisition of that other piece of property that Councilor Novoselsky alluded to, we're still in excess.
Very well. If no other city councilors have any questions or concerns, I would put this to the vote of the subcommittee to report this out favorably. I'll ask if there are any objections from the members of the subcommittee. Report this out favorably to the full city council meeting in about 10 minutes. Without any objection, then we will report this as a favorable hearing, a favorable report, and the city council, I'm sure, will vote on this sometime this evening. Looks like we have a relatively brief meeting. If you want to stick around for it, certainly you may. There's no guarantees, obviously, although most of the city council is here right now. I'll leave that up to your discretion. And other than that, this hearing is closed, and the
Thank you.
June 8th meeting of the zoning subcommittee is adjourned. The city council meeting will begin in about 10 minutes. Thank you.